So if you've been watching my channel for a while, you have probably seen quite a few of retro camcorders that I have reviewed over the course of this channel. Well, I thought it would be fun to check out my top 10 favorite camcorders I have reviewed for this year, 2023. There might be some that you remember, there might be some that you recognize, there might be some that you might even own for yourself. You might be surprised and you might disagree with my choices, but after all, this is my channel, and these are my top 10 favorite retro camcorders of 2023. Hey there, welcome back to my camera collection. If you're new around here, we like to check out old school retro camcorders from the 80s, 90s, and mid to early 2000s. So if you're into retro camcorders like I am, maybe consider subscribing. I guess my criteria for this is the camcorder had to be fully functional and working. So there were some cool camcorders that I checked out that would have been some of my favorites, but because there was some form of issue with them, I couldn't actually put it on this top 10 list. I guess the criteria doesn't consist of, necessarily video quality. I think it's more of how much fun I had using it and how much I enjoyed the video footage that comes out of it. Along with that, just maybe the way that they look. Really just how much I enjoyed it and how much I personally like the test footage that comes out of it. So we'll start off with number 10. My number 10 pick is the JVC GR-SV3 from 1994. This was a really weird camcorder, and the whole reason I even checked this camcorder out is because it's just super oddly shaped. It folds in half almost. It has this really big screen that folds up like so, and you can selfie record, or it had this little lens hood that you could use to kind of block out the sun so you could easily see the viewfinder and stuff. And this thing was just super weird and quirky. There wasn't a lot of features with it, but it was cool because you could, well, I guess back in the day you could hook it up to a little antenna device that plugged into the side of it, and you could actually watch local TV stations on it. So I guess back in the day, you could take it to work with you, and then you're eating your lunch break or something, and you could actually use your little antenna and watch TV while you're eating your lunch at work or something like that. I don't know, there was a lot of weird things with it, along with this weird messaging system that you could do, so you could almost leave people message notes. You're going to the grocery store and you need to let your wife know or something, so you take a quick selfie video and then she could replay it real quick and watch it back that way. It was a different camcorder, not a lot of features, not really any manual functions to it. It was awkward to film with, and for it being a vhs-c camcorder, the VHS video footage didn't look that great. I know VHS doesn't look great in general, but it wasn't really my cup of tea with VHS. And along with that, there just really wasn't many features with it. It was kind of just a point and shoot camcorder that had some weird funky other abilities that it could do that really wasn't camcorder-esque. So that was number 10. My number 9 pick, a lot of people are probably gonna unsubscribe from me saying this, but my number 9 pick is the Sony DCR PD150. Now, maybe it was just the model that I had or just the camera that I had, but for some reason it kind of pissed me off. To be honest, with the PD150 and the PD170, I hate that the only audio you get is with the XLR audio. I'm beating a dead horse at this point saying this if you've been watching this channel, but why only XLR? It just makes me mad. Because with these cameras, secondhand and used by so many people over 20 years, they start missing parts and stuff, and pieces and parts start breaking. And so if you don't get the shotgun mic mount, then you have to rig up some kind of stupid system to try and hold a mic on it. Having to buy all this extra stuff just to get audio out of it just makes me mad. I'm not buying a RED camera, I'm not buying a freaking cinematic camera. Give me an onboard mic at least. So that's the one thing that just kind of made me mad about it. The other thing is I didn't think the test footage really was that great out of it. A lot of things, and maybe it was just the camera itself, but a lot of things kind of seemed like they were out of focus or kind of pixelated, if you will. I rigged up this mic on there and it was huge and just bulky and in the way, and I don't know, I didn't really enjoy the PD150 that much. So if I had more of a proper way of setting up a mic on there, maybe I would have enjoyed it more. There's a lot of other cameras out there that are very similar that I have enjoyed messing with, and some of them are on this list. So that was number 9. Let's talk about number 8. And number 8 is the Canon Obura MV1. Now, this is a really weird camcorder. If you were to just look at it, you would think that it's some kind of picture camera or like a DSLR, but it was a mini DV camcorder. The system on it, like the display and the menu and all that, was very similar to the Canon GL1, and I kind of like that about it. I mean, even like the tape mechanism when you would load and unload a tape, it sounded the exact same. So it was like a weird, like compact GL1, if you will. The only thing is it had just a regular CCD sensor instead of a 3 CCD sensor. But it was just a weird, funky camcorder. And it was just, yeah, it was weird. You had the viewfinder, but you had like a little flippy screen that you could flip up and record with. I know a lot of those models generally don't work from what I have seen, or they have some kind of issue. But the other issue too is the body on it, like where they have like the kind of rubberization, I guess, around the body. Over time just kind of deteriorates and it gets sticky and gross. And so I had to spend like a long time like using some rubbing alcohol and Q-tips and stuff to just clean that camcorder up to make it not sticky. Like there was hair and stuff stuck to it and it would leave like black marks on your fingers. It was disgusting. So that's like my biggest gripe on that camcorder was it seems like most of those models, like the rubberization on the body is just starting to deteriorate. The video footage looked great, but yeah, it was just a cool, weird, funky camcorder that Canon tried to make relevant or work back in 2000, I believe. Now, another camcorder that I would kind of put in the same ballpark as the Canon Obura MV1, and I would even say the JVC SV3, is the Sony CCD SC5. Now I believe they have the SC7 and like the SC9. There's some other ones out there that are extremely similar. They just might have some better features to them and stuff, some different models. But this one's also kind of like a weird picture taking camcorder because it stands upright. It's really weird. And it doesn't have a zoom. It has 2 optics on it, I guess you could say. So you had like a little switch up on top and you would flip it and it would either be zoomed in or you'd flip it back the other way and it would just be zoomed out. So you had 2 focal points, two zoom options. You had zoomed in or wide angle. That was really it. So you couldn't go anywhere in between. So it was really weird, and if you were recording and you flipped that little switch, you could hear it like click in the audio, and it was super weird. But it even had like an optical viewfinder on it, like one of those disposable picture cameras. And so you'd look through that and you could record video on it as well. But it also had a weird little flippy screen on it, like the JVC SV3. And it even had like the little lens hood on it and stuff too. So another weird little camcorder, and that one recorded onto 8mm tapes. And that one was from 1993. So same ballpark time era as the JVC SV3. You got 93 and 94. So, but that one was just really cool. I had a lot of fun filming with that one. So the Sony CCD SC5 was number 7. Let's talk about number 6. And this one might surprise some people. My number 6 pick is the Sony DCR TRV17. This is a mini DV camcorder from 2001. And if I remember right, I think I just sent the seller an offer for $15 and they accepted it. And I was just taking a shot in the dark. I really didn't expect the camera to work. And I threw a battery on it and a tape in it, and it worked completely fine. There was no dirty tape heads or anything. The only thing that was a little weird on it is I remember the little power switch. It almost kind of looked like a dog chewed on it or something, because it looked like there was like some teeth marks. It was a little stiff and it could be a little finicky sometimes. But like other than that, like the whole camcorder worked great. And for some reason, I just really liked the way that the video footage looked coming out of that. And maybe it was the time of year and like the location that I had the test footage at, but that one would be really fun for filming skateboarding and stuff like that. The TRV17, I know they have like the 18, the 19, the 20, and there's a lot of, you know, numbers in that ballpark, and a lot of those cameras are very similar. That camera was super fun, and I that's one camera that I actually really recommend people checking out, is the TRV17, or, you know, one that's very similar in numbers, I guess. So that was number 6. Let's talk about number 5 now. And number 5 is one I had to actually go back and make sure that it was actually, I recorded it this year, but it was my first review of this year back in January, and that is the Sony NVG10 from 2010. And that camcorder actually recorded to SD cards, or you could record to memory stick duo cards, I believe. Or maybe they were just memory stick cards. I don't remember. That was a really weird camcorder, and I've actually wanted that camcorder for a really long time. And I remember the seller selling it to me. They were from Israel, I believe, and kind of weird to see where Israel is at in the world now compared to back in January. But yeah, it came with a couple little accessories and stuff. But yeah, I wanted one of those camcorders for a long time because it's a camcorder body, but it has like a DSLR mounting system on the front, so you can hook up a Sony E-mount lens and you can record video like that. So it's like a camcorder body with a DSLR attachable lens on the front. So super cool. The lens that I got with it was kind of a cheap lens, E-mount lens, but I remember I have a DSLR fisheye lens that is compatible with Canon, and so I got this lens converter, I guess. So it was a lens converter so I could use Canon lenses on Sony cameras, and it was pretty cheap, but I think if I remember right, the only lens that really worked on it was the fisheye lens that I have for my Canon DSLRs. It didn't have any connectivity to it, so you had to do manual focus with everything, and some of my lenses, they're electronically manual focusable, if that makes sense. So they're not mechanical, so some lenses you can actually manual focus it and it will, you know, you can do it from just the lens, or it has to be hooked up to like the camera, and you put the camera in manual focus or the lens in manual focus, and you spin the manual focus ring and the camera will manually focus as you spin it. So it has to be connected in some way. That fisheye is the only lens that I had that actually worked, because you actually have to have manual focus on it. Yeah, that was a cool camera. That was pretty fun, but it was hard to, it didn't have a rocker zoom on it like you think a camcorder would, so you actually had to hold it and zoom it like a DSLR would, and that was hard to do because you are either holding it like a camcorder and then you're holding it like this, and you're trying to focus the lens, and your wrist would start to hurt. Or if you wanted to like film down low, you could hold it by the top handle, but then you also had to try and zoom in and out with that lens. It was just really shaky and hard to use. So I know like the Sony NVG10 has a rocker zoom, but you have to have certain lenses that are compatible with it so that the servo zoom can engage the actual lens itself. The lens that I had on there, I don't think was compatible with that. So let's talk about another Sony camcorder, my number 4 pick, and there's probably going to be some other people that get mad at me for not putting this in the top 3, but my number 4 pick is the Sony DCR PD170. And I believe that camcorder is from 2005, at least the one that I checked out. Records to mini DV tapes. It's a DV cam just like the PD150 is. I really did like that camcorder. It came, when I got it, I remember it came with a lot of accessories, like original accessories, like I think it's like a 0.42x wide angle for it. And it came with like the original Sony shotgun mic and like the user manual, some batteries, yada yada, the whole 9 yards and all that kind of stuff. The camcorder had dirty tape heads, and the seller, I remember, was saying that he couldn't get video to play on it, so I totally assumed that it was dirty tape heads, and it was. So I got it for a pretty reasonable price. It was a good camcorder. I actually really enjoyed using it. It's just, again, I'm beating a dead horse here. I didn't like the XLR audio only. You have to have an XLR mic to use audio, and I hate that. It's stupid. Like, I do like XLR. I mean, this thing's XLR as well. I just have it converted to a 3.5mm jack. So it's dumb. Just give me at least 2 options. Give me an onboard mic and XLR. At least, please. I liked it a lot better than the PD150. I think it had much better video quality. Like I said, the PD150 was almost... I almost feel like it had like capacitors going bad in it, the PD150. This one was definitely in really good shape and was pretty fun to film with. But it's just the XLR audio just kills me. I hate it. All right, so now we're down into our top 3. So my top 3, or I guess my number 3 pick is the Sony DCR VX2000. Oh boy, did you see this coming? I bet you did, or didn't. Maybe you didn't, I don't know. Okay, now let me explain before you rage in the comments. Yes, the VX2000 doesn't have as good of video quality as the PD170 or the PD150, but it has an onboard mic, and you can attach an external mic to it if you want. So you can have a powered external mic if you want. Now, it doesn't have XLR. I don't think you need XLR if you have a good enough powered microphone. That one was really fun. I know it's those ones are starting to get hard to find because they're very popular within the skateboarding community. I've been seeing a lot of Japanese models for sale on eBay. I kind of don't trust the Japanese sellers because they just seem a little sketchy to me. But yeah, this one I got for a pretty good price as well. I think this one was untested as well. The only thing that was wrong with it was it had like a finicky power switch. So if you pushed record too hard or pushed it in a certain way, the camera would like turn off and turn back on. So there was some kind of weird power issue with the power switch and like record button because they're all right there together. So that one was fun. I enjoyed that just because, well, it's, a skateboarding icon for filming. So I got to do a little bit of filming, skateboarding and stuff like that. This is obviously, very specific to the camcorder that I had. The power switch kind of made it a pain to record things because if you started to record and you pushed it wrong or something like that, the camera would just like reset and it would turn off and turn back on. So a lot of times you had to push the record button up on top. The Sony PD cameras and the Sony VX cameras, those things are built really, really well. I mean, they are solid. You don't hear any plastic moving around. They're heavy and they feel dense. Like you could use them as a freaking weapon if you had to. Like someone's trying to rob you. You could use your camera to, beat off a burglar, I guess, that's breaking into your house. And then you could probably film it at the exact same time. So yeah, they're built pretty tough. At least they feel like they are. They're kind of weirdly long and tubular. So that was kind of odd. But once you kind of got used to it, they're good cameras. I enjoy them. So the VX2000 was my number 3 pick. Let's talk about my number 2 pick. A lot of people who probably aren't going to agree with me on a lot of these choices, but this is my channel and this is my video, damn it. And if I want to choose the cameras that I like, then I like these cameras, all right? Number 2 pick is the Canon XH1. Now, I know these cameras have a lot of issues and stuff, but I was able to fix the issues that I had on that camera. I replaced the entire handle and like the mic bracket and all that kind of stuff, and replaced a real gear that moves the tape forward and backwards. I was pretty proud of myself for being able to fix such a high-end camcorder. Like, I'm pretty sure that camcorder was like $6,000 when it first came out, something like that, with a camera that generally has a lot of issues, like with the tape deck. And after I fixed it and it worked completely fine, it almost was like attached to the camera. I don't know, it was like we bonded. Like, I fixed it and it's like now I got this little buddy here. I don't know, it was cool. I liked fixing it and seeing that I was able to fix it and it now works properly, and then being able to go out and record and just have fun with it. So I actually just recently sold that camera. So I think I did a review on that back in like July. So that camera was for sale for like 6 months and someone just barely bought it from me. Someone from, I think, New York bought it. Way less than I actually wanted out of it, but yeah, that thing was for sale for like 6 months. It's a great camera. The screen sucks on it. You can't see anything on it, so a lot of times if you're outside recording, you gotta record looking through the viewfinder. But other than that, yeah, I really, really liked the video quality that came out of it. It was actually kind of a hard pick between what video footage I liked more out of my first pick and the Canon XH1. So if you can find a good working Canon XH1, I definitely recommend checking one out, or a Canon XH1. I think those ones have even better video quality on them. But one of the coolest things that I really liked about the Canon XH1 was you had 3 different audio options. Unlike the PD150 and 170, you could have the onboard mic, you could use an external mic, and you could use XLR. You had 3 different options for audio sources instead of just one as XLR, which is stupid. So yeah, that is my pick for my number 2, is the Canon XH1 from 2006. And my last pick, my number 1 pick for my favorite camcorder I got to check out in 2023 is the Panasonic AG HVX200. This camera was extremely fun to film with. Oh my gosh, I loved it. It was big, it was heavy, it just had such good manual options on it. It had a 3.5-inch screen on it, so you could see with the detail that you were doing. The viewfinder was a big fat freaking Twinkie that just cupped right around your eye real good, and it was just a great camcorder. The video quality that came out of it was just so good. it was so fun to film with. And I liked how much manual stuff you could do with it. I mean, it was an expensive camera when it first came out. I think it was like $6,000 or $8,000 when it first came out. And it recorded to P2 cards, which I don't really care for P2 cards that much unless you can get one that is a big gigabyte. Like if you can get a card that is a 32 or a 64 gigabyte, which you're gonna be paying a lot of freaking money for, probably about as much as you would get one of these camcorders for. Like you're gonna be paying like $300 for a 164 gig P2 card. That's insane. But it also had a mini DV tape in it, or you could record the mini DV tapes. I tested it out in 1080i in the P2 card mode, and then you can only record in 480p in the mini DV tape mode. One of the big reasons I didn't like the P2 cards is because if you record in 720 or 1080, my cards were only a 8 gigabyte card. So if you record in 1080 or 720, you get the same amount of minutes on the card as however many gigabytes are on the card. It uses a gigabyte per minute on those cards. So I had 8 minutes of storage space for filming. So that was like the bad part of it. But if you recorded in like 480i or 480p on the P2 card, you had double the amount. So since it was an 8 gigabyte P2 card, I could get 16 minutes on an 8 gigabyte P2 card if I recorded in 480p. That's a mouthful. It had 2 P2 card slots, but still, like, it's not that much time. So definitely having the backup with the mini DV tape was great. And I think when I got the camera, it came with like 4 P2 cards, 8 gigabyte P2 cards. The tape deck only had like 9 hours on it, and I think after I was done recording with it, I had like 16 hours, which I definitely did not record that much time on it, so I don't know where 8 more hours came from, because I didn't record for 8 hours on the tape, so who the hell knows where that came from. If you haven't checked out one of those camcorders, man, I highly recommend it. They're super fun to film with. I love the video quality that comes out of it, and in my opinion, I don't think the mini DV footage looks all that bad. I'm kind of dumb, and I forgot to, when I recorded the footage, or I guess I captured the footage, I forgot to change the aspect ratio from 16:9 to 4:3, so like the footage is a little stretched, but you can't really tell that bad, so it still looked pretty good. But yeah, it was just a fun camcorder to film with. So yeah, that is my top 10 favorite camcorders I got to review this year. Let me know what you think of these camcorders, if you've ever checked them out, or if you've seen any of my reviews on them, or maybe go back through my video history and see what other camcorders I've reviewed this year, and let me know what your favorite camcorder is out of the camcorders that I've reviewed in 2023, because there was definitely some other ones on there that I thought about putting on here, but these ones were definitely the most fun to film with, and these are the ones that I enjoyed the video footage the most from. So too bad there wasn't some that were fully functional, and I just thought this would be a fun video to end the year off with. I figure I would make this video real quick and just have a little bit of fun before the end of the year and the start of 2024. And yeah, I don't look like a homeless man anymore. I got a haircut and trimmed the beard, left the stash, got the curls going. Hopefully I look a little bit more sophisticated than some homeless guy talking to you about camcorders. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you leave a like. And if you enjoy my content, make sure you subscribe, because we talk about old school retro camcorders almost on a weekly basis. And on that note, we'll see you in the next video. Have a good one.